folks. Well, good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us here at the North Long Beach Higher Education Center. It's great to see so many city leaders and city employees here. It's budget day. It's budget day. It's a representation, the budget is a representation of our values. It's a statement of our work, the commitment of public service that you all do every single year. It's also a commitment to our residents to make sure that we are presenting a balanced budget that meets the needs and reflects the values of our diverse city. We are here at this facility, the North Long Beach Higher Education Center in the 9th District, and we have Councilmember Joni Ricks Odie here, and we have Councilmember Cindy Allen here, but we're here in North Long Beach in the 9th District. That's right. The reason we use this facility for our budget introduction today, and it's the first time we've done this, it's to highlight what this facility really represents. This was born out of collaboration between the City of Long Beach and Long Beach City College to expand access to education, educational housing opportunities on this site, small business resources, workforce pathways, but overall opportunity. Opportunity born out of collaboration and partnership, and it reflects the same values that are at heart in this year's budget, a commitment to creating opportunity, to uplifting our neighborhoods, and to delivering for the people of Long Beach. As the 29th Mayor of Long Beach, it is my honor to present the FY 2026 budget in partnership with our City Manager, Tom Modica. It is our responsibility that is outlined in our city charter to present a balanced budget that meets the needs of our city and reflects the values of the people we serve. Let's take a look back. Just 2.5 years ago, when we stepped into this role as mayor, we were facing some real historic challenges as a city. We were still recovering from a global pandemic, a fragile downtown economy, a homelessness crisis, a $90 million structural deficit caused by outdated revenue models that threaten our ability to fund our core city essential services, and staffing shortages that disrupted everything from emergency response to the way and the frequency in which we collect our trash. Then came even more unforeseen circumstances, record inflation, cyber attacks, catastrophic weather events, flooding, increased volatile federal landscape that targets our port through tariffs, our immigrant communities, and even our public services. But despite all that, Long Beach continues to go to work. We continue to make real progress. We reduced the projected cumulative deficit from $89.8 million to $57.3 million over the next 5 years. That's more than $30 million reduction without an improvement without raising taxes on our residents. We passed Measure LB to close outdated tax loopholes and bring in new and reliable revenue to protect our services. We most recently passed Measure JB to speed up hiring, making us on track to be the first major city in California on pace to reach a 90-day hiring goal. We continue to break housing production records and expand shelter and services. Through our focus on economic development, Grow Long Beach, we're catalyzing thousands of new jobs and laying the foundation for a stronger, more sustainable local economy. And our downtown is breaking records again and now positioned to be featured on the global stage. This budget we're presenting today is balanced, it's responsible. It accelerates our progress on these key goals, and it focuses on 4 strategic priorities to build a more vibrant and prosperous Long Beach. First, it continues our focus on improving core city services and deepening public engagement, preventing homelessness and expanding affordable housing, protecting our Long Beach values under increasingly hostile federal landscape, and fueling local entrepreneurship and economic growth. These areas will help us to deliver better services, it will help us to protect our most vulnerable residents, and it will continue to keep moving Long Beach forward. So let's get into some of my recommendations in some of these categories. Let's start with core services. Long Beach is making real progress on public safety. We're seeing notable decline in crime across our city. Property crime is down, categories like commercial burglary, 34.5% down, and property damage down 25%. Shootings down 29%, homicides down 28%. Those are just a few examples, but they demonstrate that what is taking place is making a real difference. We want to thank our dedicated police department, our high crime focus team, our detectives, our patrol officers, and we want to recognize key investments into strategic public safety priorities, youth engagement, violence prevention, initiatives like Strong Beach. We're continuing this momentum by continuing to make deliberate investments into personnel, equipment, programs that will help to ensure every resident can walk through their local parks and neighborhoods with the peace of mind that they deserve. Some key community safety improvements, investments in this budget represent $1.3 million in the high crime focus team to proactively address violent crime citywide, adding civilian community service assistance to continue improving response times and support calls for service. $1.3 million in the Long Beach Fire Department's Rescue 2 Peak Load Ambulance to operate a 7-day-per-week schedule at Fire Station 2, preserving staffing to continue our community crisis response teams. This team initially began as a pilot on the west side. We most recently expanded it citywide, and now we have new funding to continue this program year-round. Continue structural funding for the Be Safe Summer Activities in a Friendly Environment program across 11 sites citywide. New funding, a recommendation to continue funding for the Safe Passages program, which ensures the safety of youth walking to and from destinations in our community, and continuing our commitment to the Long Beach Youth Fund, a program that's been a lot of excitement around this program. So we're going to continue our youth fund and a commitment to participatory budgeting to support direct investments into youth. We're also continuing our focus on core services and critical public infrastructure. Our Elevate 2028 plan is in full swing. These investments are critical to ensuring that we continue the daily function of our community and the overall quality of life of every neighborhood. This year, it includes $13.8 million in residential street improvements, $31.7 million for arterial streets and corridor enhancements. We're also continuing the success of our 6-day pothole repair program, our in-house concrete program, and our in-house crack slurry seal programs. We're also recommending that we enact key priorities outlined in our city auditor's street projects and pavement management performance audit. And we know that our city over the last few years has experienced some water main breaks. We want to get ahead of it. So we're asking our utilities department to use new technologies like AI to predict where the next breaks are likely to occur so we can prevent future catastrophes. Since Elevate 28 actually ends in 2027, it's time for us to begin thinking about what our next commitment to infrastructure is over the course of the next fiscal year. So I'm also including a recommendation for our city team to begin envisioning what the next 5-year plan looks like from 2027 to 2032 and how we can make additional investments to improve our overall infrastructure as a city. Now, Long Beach is making historic investments on housing production. We've connected more people than any time in our history experiencing homelessness to stable housing than ever before. But we need to do more to address inflow, to prevent people from becoming homeless in the first place. In 2024, voters adopted LA County Measure A, that's the Housing Safety Homelessness Prevention Now initiative, with more than 57% of the vote, and here in Long Beach, higher than 60% of the vote. This continues and creates new vital funding for homeless outreach, prevention, and stable permanent housing. As a proponent of this measure and as chair of the newly created Los Angeles County Affordable Housing Solutions Agency, I'm proud that Measure A is expected to provide, and we've secured $16 million in ongoing funding to the city of Long Beach to focus on prevention and permanent housing. And as a part of this budget, I'm proud to present and to be the very first city in LA County to present a comprehensive plan on how we will actually invest these vital resources. So I want to introduce the Upstream LB plan. We have a nice plan here, Homeless Prevention and Housing Pathways Plan. It's available online for you to look at. I'll highlight a few points. These dollars could not come at a more critical time in our community. Considering recent federal funding cuts to services, federal threats to homeless student protections, budget challenges at the state level, this funding provides is essential to protecting our city's progress and expanding on it. We have to be intentional in how we use these limited resources. And based on data and based on national best practices, this plan focuses on 3 key vulnerable populations. First, transition age and at-risk youth. If we can prevent young people from slipping into homelessness during that transition age, we can prevent a lifetime of homelessness. So this will be a target for these resources. Secondly, Vulnerable seniors. Based on data, this is a vulnerable population where we have the greatest impact with a focused support so older adults can age in place with dignity. And thirdly, communities impacted by recent federal policy actions. This could be folks who are at risk of homelessness because they're losing their federal voucher, housing voucher. This could be individuals impacted by budget cuts or a loss of benefits. This could be individuals who are afraid to go to work because of threats to immigration raids. This is a new vulnerable population, and if we don't put our resources behind making sure that we are more resilient as a community, this could create larger social challenges in the future. We don't want people to have to choose between health care or paying their rent, or make a choice between going to work or the risk of potentially being separated from their families. And so we can help. If we don't intervene, we can find ourselves in a worse situation as a community. So with that in mind, here are a few key highlights under the Upstream LB Homeless Prevention and Housing Pathways Plan. Under this plan, there's more than $5.2 million for prevention-focused programs. That includes $1 million for a new senior shallow subsidy program. This was proposed at the State of the City in January. This is much needed support for vulnerable seniors who are on a fixed income. If your rent happens to go up $200, that forces a difficult choice between am I going to pay for my medicine or am I going to pay my rent? And so these are much needed resources to help this vulnerable population not slip into catastrophe. $646,000 in shallow rent subsidies for vulnerable communities impacted by federal policy actions. $1.5 million for tenant right to counsel program so we can prevent evictions in the first place. $500,000 in cash assistance for transition age youth. These investments in youth are tied to our goal of ending youth homelessness. We're able, through these investments, to accelerate our first milestone, which is achieving functional zero on street homelessness, youth street homelessness. It's also in alignment with our regional strategies. The Gateway City has a focus on achieving zero homelessness for all transition youth out of the foster care system. So this supports that. Under the second category, crisis response. This is, you're past the point of prevention and now you've actually run into an emergency that could trigger homelessness. So we'll be investing more than $2.5 million for support and emergency interventions for people experiencing homelessness, including community crisis response, including interim housing operations, coordinated outreach, and mental health support. And under the final category, pathways out of homelessness, there'll be nearly $8 million to support pathways to permanent housing, including affordable housing production, youth housing subsidies, and technical assistance for innovative strategies like our community land trust. We're investing in our most vulnerable residents. And by doing so, we're going to make Long Beach stronger and we're going to impact lives. I want to thank the Long Beach Homeless Coalition, Libre, all of the community members who've helped to advocate for Measure A and helped shape this plan. Over the last few months, we've also seen very intense federal enforcement actions that have created real fear in our community, have put our values to the test, believe in diversity, we believe in equity, we believe that everyone belongs. We are a city, and how we approach this moment truly matters because a budget is a reflection of our values. And during uncertain times like these, this budget reaffirms our values, that we uplift dignity, we protect families, and we honor the deep contributions of every member of our community, including our diverse immigrant communities. Based on important feedback that we've received from the community and consultation internally and looking at what other cities doing, we've developed the following budget and policy recommendations through the Defending Our Long Beach Values Plan. This plan is available online for you to take a look. This plan represents more than $5 million being made available to our community to prevent economic catastrophe, including $2.5 million dedicated to direct financial and legal support through the Long Beach Justice Fund and rapid response efforts. These budget recommendations include $1.85 in direct legal support, about $500,000 in emergency relief for Long Beach immigrant and families, which could include emergency cash assistance or rental assistance, basic needs support, or mental health needs. $150,000 to establish a new safe place business certification program to make sure that our small businesses understand their rights and have the materials to be able to operate and create safe spaces in our communities. This also includes training, support for our community organizations to continue the training that they're doing. And it also includes to a larger pool eviction protection fund of about $2.5 million for all vulnerable communities that are impacted by federal actions. Again, potentially losing vouchers, potentially losing benefits. This group is included in this larger $2.5 million fund. So this is how we arrive at $5 million available to support our vulnerable communities in this moment. We're also including a list of policy recommendations to help strengthen our city's ability to ensure that both employees and residents can fully participate in civic life. This includes strategies to further secure our city's properties, ensure both city staff and external vendors act in compliance with the Long Beach Values Act, as well as expanding our capacity to defend our residents and city programs against hostile legal actions by the federal government. This plan has been made possible by a lot of engagement. We want to recognize the community-based organizations, Orale, Churla, Centro Cha, UCC, Filipino Migrant Center, and so many others who voiced and made sure that this is a priority for our community. Next, let's talk about our local businesses. Small businesses are the heartbeat of our city, the power of our local economy. They employ our neighbors. They serve as anchors for culture, identity, and innovation in every neighborhood across our city. They reflect the diversity, the grit, the creativity that makes Long Beach unlike any other city in America. And at a time when economic pressures continue to challenge communities nationwide, we choose to invest in our small businesses. Since the beginning of the year, we've been hosting small business roundtables, hearing directly from restaurants, local entrepreneurs, and we ask, what more can the city do to support your success? And based on the feedback that we've received from our diverse small business community, this FY26 budget includes more than $8 million in new funding in the Back to Business Long Beach Small Business and Neighborhood Activation Plan. This comprehensive plan lays out really two components. The Small Business Rebound Initiative. I partnered with Councilmember Allen and at the State of the City to partner to talk about ways we can boost support for our small businesses. And secondly, focus on activating our neighborhoods citywide. Let's jump into the Small Business Rebound Initiative. It really has three areas of focus: recruitment, retention, and reinforcement. Under recruitment, we're investing in our capacity to recruit businesses, particularly into some of the corridors that have been hard to maintain tenancy. And so we're going to be investing in our Vacancy to Vibrancy initiative and implementing that. We are expanding capacity of our Grow Long Beach revolving loan fund. We're supporting developing new business support offices, and we're piloting a new first-year fee-free program to help businesses who take a shot on a neighborhood or at a facility to help them with some of their startup city fees. Under retention, we also want to support our existing businesses in Long Beach. So we're expanding our legacy business program. We are continuing and expanding our rapid response initiative, and we're continuing to support proven programs like our VIP grants, our Level Up Long Beach Small Business Makeover program, and our Inclusive Business Navigators program. Additionally, we know that as a port town, we are in many ways more susceptible to the uncertainty of tariffs than other communities. And so for the first time, we're piloting a new tariff emergency relief grant program to support businesses whose operations have been impacted by the volatility of federal tariffs. This is in partnership with the Port of Long Beach, and this is a $500,000 grant program. Under reinforcement, we're launching a new Safe and Secure Grants program to help fund proactive crime prevention measures like cashless point-of-sale transaction systems and additional resources to make your businesses more secure. And we're continuing our successful visual improvement grants program. Now, in terms of activation, we're placing a big focus on ensuring that every part of our city is economically vibrant, starting with downtown. That means making some real investments into our downtown. We're making some strategic investments like the creation of an advertising district. We've heard from business that they want the ability to activate when large events come to town. They want to figure out creative ways to activate Pine Avenue and the East Village. And so we've set $500,000 aside for strategic activation there and other strategic investments outlined in the plan. We're also making strategic investments citywide with support for our business improvement districts all across our city, additional support to establish our El Mercado of Long Beach, wayfinding in our public realm, corridor improvements, visual improvements, recommendations funding to implement recommendations from the West Long Beach Economic and Market Study as a part of the West Side Promise, funding to continue this facility here in North Long Beach. And so this plan was developed in partnership with our business community. So I want to recognize everyone who contributed to this: Long Beach Restaurant Association, Long Beach Chamber of Commerce, our business improvement districts, Long Beach Economic Partnership. We want to thank you all for working with us. So through these comprehensive plans, through these investments, we're ready to take on the challenges of the future. We're building a thriving and more inclusive and resilient city. We know that cities are facing challenges all over the place, but we continue to invest in our city. We continue to make prudent investments to make sure we address our longstanding challenges and that we lift up the people and make sure everyone can benefit from our community. So these are just a few highlights, and these summarize my recommendations. We now want to introduce City Manager Modica to provide a full picture of our city's budget goals and priorities for 26. So I want to invite City Manager Modica to the table.
All right, good morning, everybody, and happy Budget Day. So Mayor got to go over a lot of the high-level kind of recommendations that he's making, as well as some of the things that are in the proposed budget. So I'll go through some of those and add some context in some certain areas. First of all, budgets are one of the most important things we do in local government, and budgets produce results. So these are the things that we hear from our community members, from our mayor and council and business community, is what is it that we want from city services, and then what results are we going to deliver. Just a couple of these. So in public safety, we had real incredible regional leadership during the Palisades and Eaton fires, some of the most devastating fires we've seen in many years. And not only were we able to help out, but we're also able to maintain our local service levels as well. We've had declining crime over the past year, pretty significant numbers of drop in crime, and we've had 3 consecutive years of reduced shootings. Our LBPD does 0.8 minutes. When you need a police officer, they will be there for the most urgent crimes within those 5.8 minutes, and we're very, very proud of that. Our Long Beach Fire Department responds to over 69,000 incidences, and we've introduced new ways to help both police and fire through our community crisis response team to be able to go with unarmed individuals to calls that don't necessarily need a police or fire response, and we've helped 850 people last year. In the area of housing and homelessness, we see 177 people every single day at our multi-service center. We've cleared 720 encampments in the last year, but we do that compassionately through engagement, through the tools that we have, offering shelter as well. Last year, we housed 1,600 people that came off of our streets. We've entitled 1,800 new housing units, built 1,200 new housing units. We're a leader in ADU conversion, so per capita ADU conversion at 864. And one of our big goals is to address rents. We know California is a really high-cost state to live in. Long Beach is right now the most affordable city, and we've stabilized those rents while others have seen increases, and actually we're able to have rents lower than a lot of the area around us because we're investing in housing, we're investing in affordable housing, investing in housing for all. In the area of economic development, one of our key industries is tourism and bringing people to the city. We're actually higher than where we were in our very top year going into COVID. So 2019 was our best year ever. We now have recovered, and we're actually doing better than we were in 2019 with over $2 billion in economic spend, outpacing the region. Space has been a huge sector for us as we've invested. We've gotten defense funding here in Long Beach, $750 million. We now have 4,000 new jobs in space and advanced manufacturing. But we're also engaging our small businesses. We know that small businesses are really important to the community, to our fabric. We've had a 500% increase in our business newsletter engagement as we work with those small businesses. We've helped launch youth service corps to expand teen and youth adult pathways. And another big area for the mayor and council is infrastructure. We are doing more infrastructure now than we've ever done in our history. We will look back to where we were 10 years ago. Our annual budgets now are almost 400% higher than they were in 2016 for our investment in our capital improvement plan. We filled 48,000 potholes, did 70 miles of street repairing, invested $48 million in street and alley repair. But we know it's not enough. Everyone can name a street, a sidewalk that needs repair, and that's something we continue to work on despite these historic levels of investment. So let's talk a little bit about the numbers and where we were. So early in January, we were predicting this year we were going to have a $30 million deficit. There were a number of things that happened through the year as we got a little bit better on expenses, a little bit better on revenue, and that number dropped to about $20 million. So we had already made some progress there. Then our priority going into this budget was to look at a couple things. One, the budget we're releasing to you today is about $3.7 billion, which is a slight increase from last year. We really needed to start looking at tightening the belt. So like cities throughout California, all cities are starting to see some drops in revenue, rises in expenses. And so while we've got others that are really doing some very hard service reductions, we'll talk about that a little bit later. We're not at that level, but we do need to be very focused. We need to tighten our belt. We also want to try to not affect those core services to the community, and then try to address some of those urgent one-time needs that don't add to our structure shortfall, and then of course have a budget that reflects the values of our community. And so revenues have dropped since March with some significant shortfalls in the $20 million range, and there's a lot of uncertainty out there. And so we remain committed, very proud of our mayor and council for their financial dedication to their financial policies, and it is paying dividends, and we'll see that a little bit later when we compare ourselves to a couple other cities. But we also need to invest in those core areas that our community expects. And so our strategic approach was really to preserve those core services. So keep the services that we have available that our residents rely on, that invest limited funding in revenue generating opportunities, that where we can, let's spark some revenue generation. We have to look at some programs that may be very popular or may be exciting, but they were designed to be one time coming out of the pandemic. They were designed to go away. And so we have to make some of those tough choices and sunset those, but try to preserve the ones that we really need to preserve. And then I asked every single department as they build their budget, tell me what you're not going to do if you're going to do something new, or tell me what the revenue could be. Everything should have an offset as we make these decisions. And in some cases, we had to take those and offset other critical expenses to build this budget. So what happened in this budget? One of the great things we're doing is we're actually eating into our structural deficit. It's not solved, but we started the year at 30. We actually improved by about $5 million in this budget, so heading in the right direction. And so the shortfall is now 16.9 rather than $30 million. And then that's been addressed through some one-time dollars, so we're not cutting services this year. So we still have challenges in the future. Mayor talked about this. We originally had projected this to be about $90 million over 5 years. That has shrunk to about $60 million over 5 years. So definitely heading in the right direction. We will carry forward the $16.9 million that we're not solving this year and add about 22 next year. And so next year will be a difficult year for us. We're investing in solutions now, starting to look at efficiencies, starting to look at revenue opportunities, and we'll be tackling that challenge next year. Of course, there's a lot of assumptions here. We're not assuming a recession. We're not sure what's going to happen on the federal level as with loss of federal dollars. Costs are still potentially increasing, and so those are all things that we're going to be working on through active management. Whenever we do a budget, we make sure that we're thinking about our values and our strategic vision. So that was a real big effort that we undertook, is to create a strategic vision. Hadn't had one in 20 years. And so everything we do as you look in the budget document aligns to that strategic vision. So let's get into some of the highlights, and the mayor talked about some of these, so I'll go a little faster in a couple areas. But one thing we hear a lot from the community and our council is about housing and about substandard housing, and are there places where landlords are not keeping up with the maintenance. And so that's enforcing and code enforcement. We're adding civil engineering positions and code enforcement positions to protect housing and strengthen rental housing enforcement. We're doing that through some alignment in planning and building fees and multifamily housing inspection fees. We have a whole section in the budget about homeless services funding coming out of that new county Measure A to really help with our housing and homelessness. In the area of fire department, Mayor mentioned this, but a real big priority for the mayor and council was to staff a Rescue 2 peak load ambulance unit at 12 hours a day for 7 days a week, and that is now structurally funded. So the fire department found ways to do that structurally through increase in ambulance fees. It also helps support other services in the city as well, and so we're really excited to have that as part of our budget, no longer one time. That is now a permanent addition. In police department, they've done a great job at looking at what's happening with crime and where are the needs and pressures and how do we adjust our staffing to address some of the societal crimes that we hear are really important. And so they're reallocating and consolidating staff. They're going to have new specialized units addressing those shifting public safety priorities. We're also looking at adding community service assistants. Those are those civilian staff that help our police officers and respond to Priority 3 calls. That was a new innovation about 2 years ago, and it's been very, very good partnership between our police officers and our CSAs, and bringing on some additional ones will help with our Priority 3 response times. Mayor mentioned this, but we were going to lose our community crisis response team in this budget had we not figured out a solution. So that was just a pilot. We've run it for about a year and a half. It has been helpful, and now we're going citywide. And so we found about 70% of it is now going to be structurally funded while we work for the solutions on the other part. Measure A funds are critical for us for public safety investment, both for public safety maintenance, public safety investment, and also infrastructure. And so this year, as we do not have as many one-times available to us because they're used to prevent those cuts, Measure A funds are going to be really helping us in our police and fire department. So funding the high crime focus team, funding the real-time crime center construction, helping with our drone equipment and youth and leadership academies in the fire department and the police department, working on staffing for ambulance operators and gender and diversity focused recruitments. And then we're almost there to move into Fire Station 9, and so we need to continue that lease while we continue the construction, and we'll open that later this year. Investing in our helicopter camera. That's one of our great resources that we have as a big city, is to be able to be on scene very quickly and have the camera systems there. We talked about, oops, sorry, that did not move forward. So one of the big changes, we always look at not only dollars, but also how are we structured. We're going to be renaming our Economic Development Department to be the Economic Development and Opportunity Department, recognizing they do both economic development and really provide opportunity to businesses and workers as well. The mayor mentioned the Small Business Rebound Initiative. There's $1 million investment in addition to additional investments in the $8 million from the former RDA properties, and we'll talk about that in a second. Kind of a new pilot we want to try is we hear a lot from our community about the importance of crossing guards. Crossing guards is a very difficult program to staff. You're only working like 2 hours in the morning, maybe 2 hours in the afternoon. And so, but we also hear that there's other issues around schools that are important to the community. So we're trying a new staffing model where we'll have parking control checkers who can both be your crossing guard and then also be out in the neighborhoods and addressing some of those safety challenges and parking challenges that we see around schools. And so we look forward to rolling that out and talking about that more. We're investing in our youth programs. We're also investing in cultural affairs. This is one of the top priorities for our library. When we named them Library Arts and Culture, our commitment was to give them additional staffing resources that don't come from library staff to be able to lead on that cultural area. So starting to create a cultural affairs division. And then one of the most important priorities was 6-day-a-week library hours. The council funded about half of it structurally, half of it was one time, and it was going to go away in this budget. And so now that's structurally funded. So Brett Hart, Burnett, and Bayshore will have structural 6-day service. We're funding a lot in our climate action update to advance our key climate goals. We're funding an energy resiliency study. We're funding our urban forest expansion. And then one of the really large areas in the area of environmental service that we're looking at is change in our public works and our energy resources department. So public works has grown so much as we're doing so much work that we're looking to take the refuse side of public works and move that to a new department called energy and environmental services and merge that with energy resources. This is a great partnership between public works and energy resources to really support our refuse team, to give them more resources to be able to do their job while also letting public works have more focus on the things we hear about traffic and infrastructure and maintenance. And so we'll be talking more about that. We're also investing in EV infrastructure. One of the main things in this budget that was going to go away without a solution is enhancements to our clean team. During COVID, we used one-time dollars to enhance our clean team to get out and picked up dumped items. That was going away without a solution. And so we've added 8 maintenance assistants and $300,000 to some of our nonprofits and other groups out there that help us pick up trash so that we can maintain a really clean city. And part of the way we're funding that is through an increase in parking fees, so in parking citations. We are low in the region, and so everything needs to have an offset. As much as we don't like parking fees, that'll help us with a 5% increase or $5 increase. That'll help us to fund that clean team. We're investing in wayfinding and signage and storefront wrapping. As the Refuse Bureau moves over into Energy and Environmental Resources, we're creating a new Transportation Services Bureau within Public Works, which will be street sweeping, parking control, mobility, and customer relations, all in one unified leadership. And a real innovation we found in our parks is we brought on our park ambassador teams with city staff. Our number of complaints have dropped, our vandalism have dropped, but right now we have contractors doing it in the morning and our team doing it in the afternoon. We're going to contract that in, have it all done with city employees at the same cost that we were paying, and we believe we're going to increase service levels. We're investing about $7 million in high-priority projects through park impact fees, including the 10th Street Greenbelt, Hartwell Park, artificial turf improvements, Houghton Park, MacArthur Park, and Martin Luther King Jr. Park as well. And then in the area of Tidelands, as we've talked about, Tidelands is heading towards some financial difficulty with the loss of oil. There's a lot of good progress in making other revenue sources try to make up for that. And so we're setting aside about $1.5 million to cover Tidelands this year because it has the potential to start to go negative. Investing $2 million in the Naples Seawalls tieback program, and investing $2 million in the Queen Mary to bring back our revenue-generating assets like Sir Winston's. Sir Winston's was a huge revenue generator when it was open. It's been closed, looking at ways to bring that back so that can help not only the Queen Mary but all the Tidelands. And then the remaining funds will be proposed as we bring the Belmont Pool later to the City Council to look at how we can move forward with that financing strategy. The area of human resources modernization, continue to work on the merger between civil service and HR and staff up and get that vacancy rate down. We've gone from a 22% vacancy rate last year to an average of about 17.5% now, so we've made progress, but more is needed. We're investing in our mobile food facility program. Those are our complaint response team to address and enforce the council's ordinance. Investing in our election preparation. We have a new position that'll help us with the Olympics and the community outreach, so we can go out and really start engaging and explaining what's going to happen in 28 in the Olympics. And we're funding the animal care services transition. So we're currently in a dispute with SBCLA, and that's going through the court system. But if that is successful, we'll have resources to be able to expand the city operations there. So the mayor talked a lot about this, so I'll go a little quicker, but part of the proposed budget is a major investment in economic development, and it's funded by resources from the sale of former redevelopment properties. So about 10 years ago, the council set a policy that says as we sell those former redevelopment agency properties, 75% of those should go to economic development in the area that it was generated, and 25% goes citywide. And so it's been about an $8.7 million has been accumulating in those funds in different areas. And so we have a recommendation that lays it out by program on the side, but also by area, since that was the council's direction. So the mayor talked about this, but these are not just going to be spent in this 1 year. We're expecting this to be a multi-year plan to really help economic development in those areas and also throughout the entire city. Mayor covered this in his items, but there's a great opportunity with County Measure A for us to help not only on housing, but also on homelessness, and that's in the budget. So as we wrap up, I need to mention a couple other things. There's a lot of things that, unfortunately, because of our financial position, can't not be funded. And so we call those out in the budget. Those are the things the mayor and council are going to have to look at. We do believe the major things are taken care of. But, for example, in the proposed budget, we weren't able to do additional justice fund and tenant right to council. Those got addressed in the mayor's recommendations. Same thing as youth grants. But other things like additional funding for municipal band or beach streets or additional paramedic units, additional police and fire support. We have uncontrolled utility maintenance costs. We have health department positions that are losing their funding. So it's important that we look at these as we go through the budget process and acknowledge that while we're doing a lot of great things in this budget, there is a lot of pressure on our departments that don't have funding for all the things that we would like to be doing. In the area of infrastructure, we're continuing our LB28 plan. In fact, it's grown. It's actually over $1 billion now. Last year we were under $1 billion. This year we're over $1 billion. And we're seeing that huge increase over the last 10 years in infrastructure investment and also in mobility. So I said I'd mention this in the very beginning, but yes, we do have some financial challenges, but we're reading about other cities that are also having financial challenges, but really at a much different level. And so because we've been paying attention every single year, because of active management, because of active mayor and council questioning about how do we put our resources and where they should go, our budget deficit this year is about 2.6% of our general fund. As we see what's happening in LA and San Diego and Oakland, it's about 5 to 6 times higher than that in those other cities. So every city's different. I don't pretend to understand their challenges and what they've had to fund, but just when we hear about other cities with massive layoffs and these service impacts, this kind of shows that that comparison of what's going on in the other areas. And of course, we do have fiscal challenges ahead. We're facing uncertainty due to federal policies and executive order. We may be losing millions of dollars worth of federal grant support as national policy changes and doesn't fund those things anymore. We continue to see wage and labor wage increases. We see CalPERS cost. We see a slowdown in consumer confidence in the United States and in California and Long Beach as people are worried about the economy and start to save dollars rather than spend them on like sales tax. We're seeing declining oil revenues and our cost of doing business, just like businesses are going up as well. And so the FY26 budget is balanced, but it does rely on some of those one-time funds. And so we do expect those one-time funds to be exhausted in 26. So there's not going to be a lot of additional dollars to invest in priorities without taking from somewhere else. We're continuing our strong effort to identify new revenues. We will have to address that 5-year shortfall and the shortfall next year. We continue to really be dedicated to a strong fiscal policy and proactive in addressing any of those challenges. And then we are recommending that as those dollars come up, that the mayor and council look at things like strengthening our city emergency and operating reserves and preparing for the future and being very prudent. There are some other key funds in the budget that are addressed. One of them is our health fund. Our health fund is incredibly important, and we've been supporting it with general fund to keep it from going negative for the past couple years, but that level of support that's needed has been growing as the state has not been keeping up with the cost of services that they provide us. Federal government is cutting and losing funding for us, and then also just the cost of things like salaries for nurses and salary for our health workers that we've had to address. And so they are going through a very detailed process to decide how they can right-size that fund and what those impacts are going to be, and then, of course, what the general fund support needs to be at the end. Tidelands, we've already talked about, is declining a little bit, and then general services, which funds all of our technology needs. We have a lot of needs in our technology area, but about 50% of that hits the general fund, and so those are areas that we're continuing to monitor and work on. And so looking ahead, despite what's going on in terms of some of our regional and national economy, we are a very resilient city. We have a lot of great stuff going for us. We have a lot to be proud of. We're still a very full service city, providing all these comprehensive services that we've maintained resources, invested those to protect the core services that people really care about. We have incredible employees who are very, very committed and dedicated, and they're the ones that do all the work out there. We have great, strong financial management, great leadership from our mayor and council, and a lot of support from all of our different departments. And so we're at the end of the discussion of the items, but there's a lot here. And so we're going to be unpacking this as we go into budget hearings with the mayor and council and really getting into the detail. We're going to go out to the community. And so how can you get involved and engaged? Attend those budget hearings. You can attend budget oversight committee meetings. I know our chair has set out an aggressive schedule to really dive into this, which we appreciate. Come to our community meetings. We've got new formats that are more interactive and ways for you to tell us what you like, what you don't like. And then also we're doing budget digital comment cards as well. And so in the packet, there's all these different ways to get involved. This budget engagement actually started in January, so we took a lot of input back in January and incorporated that into the budget. And now it's time to get more input. So with that, we have everything available online, and hope everyone starts engaging and seeing really how important budget is to how a city functions. And with that, I will turn it back over to the mayor.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom, and that's right. So a few additional points. I want to recognize Tom, but I also want to recognize our budget manager, Rebecca, and her incredible work working with Tom and with Paul and our team to get us to this place. So let's hear it for Rebecca and the financial management team. All right, so you heard a lot. You heard opportunities, you heard there's a lot of need, and there are challenges on the horizon. So I want to issue a word of caution. While we've been able to find innovative solutions this year, we cannot fill this looming deficit in the future without support and without some kind of intervention. We've dealt with uncertainty in our economy through tariffs that hurt Long Beach more than most other communities because of our connection to the port economy. We're seeing a chilling effect on our economy based on what's happening national rhetoric and fear in the community creates a chilling effect on a local economy. We know that we've seen challenges in tightlands coming. Without intervention on tightlands, you will see challenges with our ability to protect our coast, our ability to support our lifeguards, our police officers, our firefighters in tightlands. This is exacerbated by SB 1137. There is opportunities for us in Long Beach to find legislative pathways to be able to shore up, be able to help stabilize the Tightlands Fund so we don't impact jobs and services that are important to our coastline. And so we need leadership from our state legislature in addressing this challenge in this upcoming year on SB 1137, or there will be consequences that will manifest in our communities and in our budget. We also know that our health fund, love our health department. We all love our health department, but we have to find a real long-term solution. It was unstable previously. Only a portion of its budget came from the general fund previously. We've put in more resources to make them more stable, but the reality is much of that funding is dependent on the federal government, and we just learned most recently that even a program as important as HIV testing is no longer a program that we're receiving funding from the federal government for. And so we have to find local ways to make our health department more sustainable. And we know also the state's been a big partner with us on homelessness. From Project Room Key and Home Key and encampment resolution has been incredibly successful. We want to thank our state partners for that. But they're dealing with budget challenges too. In the most recent budget, they did a clawback about 50% of the HAP funding, that's flexible homeless funding to our communities. We need to make sure we're speaking with one voice about our priorities. If we stick together, if we work through this, if we hold all of our representatives accountable, we can get through these difficult years. We've done it before. I also want to issue just some guidance to the council. Take a look at this, but just know that maybe some of these investments may not be at certain levels that people may expect, but we're in a challenging time, and there are no one-time funds that are flexible. So we're going to be watching. Any enhancements to this budget has to have a corresponding cut, and we have to think about the way those cuts impact the community. We will be thinking about impact and equity in mind on the council's recommendations. So that's incredibly important to state. And then as we close and move to any questions, I do want to just acknowledge this morning's conflict in Cambodia. We are home to a proud and thriving Cambodian community, and many of them are concerned. And so we join them in their prayers for peace for their loved ones and anyone who may be impacted by the conflict taking place this morning. That said, we are ready for any questions. That concludes this portion, and we're ready for any questions if any exist. There's only really two press here, so 2 or 3. So, and you all met yesterday. Any questions for us?